Today, we're ranking every Thanksgiving dish. And if that's something that you want to see or want to participate in, stick around. We have here, thanks to Tier Maker, a whole bunch of options of things that go on a Thanksgiving table. And what I want to do here today is rank all of these. So we're in for a pretty long stream here. And along the way, what I want to do is provide some tips for the day, maybe some recipes here and there that we can talk through. So let's jump right in. I'm on the record of saying that I think turkey is probably one of the most overrated things that's going to be on your Thanksgiving table or my Thanksgiving table, but it's one of those things that has to be there. So the first thing I'm going to do is there's a bunch of turkeys on here. We'll try to pick them out. We'll try to throw them on here. I would say personally, roast turkey is pretty overrated, but it serves as kind of the centerpiece of the meal. So visually, it kind of needs to be there, in my opinion. But in terms of like everything that you would put on your plate, it's not my favorite thing. So I'm going to put roast turkey at a C level. And as far as these tiers go, S is like our God tier, and then it goes A, B, C, D, and F, like just like a report card back in the day. So that's roast turkey. There's a couple other turkeys. Smoked turkey, I would give it a little bit of an edge over roasted turkey. I think that's kind of fair to do. And then where is it? Fried turkey. I'm going to put that at an F level. We did a fried turkey back in 2005, and I don't know what happened. The guy who made it, it literally came out completely black. It could be user error, but in terms of fried turkey, it's unsafe to do. In my opinion, didn't taste any better or worse really than a roast turkey. It's just a whole to do for nothing. So skip the fried turkey this year. Are there any other turkeys? No, it doesn't look like. And if we miss like a protein here and there, we'll sweep it up. But if there's anything that you think is missing and you're here in the live chat, let me know. And then at the end of the stream, what we can do is I can see if I can get some pictures and import them and, make sure we make this as comprehensive as possible, because I want this to be a resource, something that if you're planning your Thanksgiving meal, we can kind of use this to go. All right. So it looks like up here we have some bread options. I'm going to put dinner rolls kind of at the B tier. There's something that I think has to be on the table, but it's not going to be your best bites. And we might adjust these as we go along. Biscuits, I've never actually done on Thanksgiving. So, but I like the spirit of those. So we'll put those at a B tier. Why not? The one thing that is non-negotiable for me on a Thanksgiving table is cornbread. And that I'm going to put at an A tier. What I like about cornbread is when it's typically drier than most everything that's on the plate. Thanksgiving to me, like it's my favorite holiday because it's a food holiday, obviously. But to me, it's a whole bunch of brown, wet foods that have kind of similar textures. But cornbread, if you make a good cornbread, and when I say good cornbread, it could be something as simple as a box of Jiffy, because that's what we're gonna do. But cornbread kind of gives you a little bit more texture to bite through than like all these kind of like wet, sloppy kind of things. So to me, cornbread has to be an A tier, definitely above the dinner roll. But I like to have cornbread and dinner roll on my plate, obviously, of course. Now here they have King's Hawaiian rolls, which is a little bit odd. I'm going to rank those on the B tier as well. To me, King's Hawaiian or a dinner roll, they're kind of similar. And then crescent rolls. This wasn't something that I ever did on my Thanksgiving table until I met my wife, Cassie. At her house, they did crescent rolls. And I think that's great. So I'm putting that at an A tier as well. Now, your mileage is going to vary when it comes to these things. Like we're kind of splitting the difference on a lot of this stuff between A and B tier. But there has to be a ranking. So personally, that's kind of what I wanted to go with. Now let's get this out of the way. Cranberry sauce. It's a very divisive thing to be on the table, but in my opinion, it kind of has to be on the Thanksgiving table. I used to like making my own cranberry sauce, like actually cooking it down. I like putting in a little bit of orange juice and sometimes a little cinnamon and stuff like that. Lately, though, it seems like a little bit more of a to-do, so I haven't been doing it that way. We at the table, we've been kind of focusing on having the jellied cranberry sauce. So, controversial take here. I'm going to put cranberry sauce, the homemade one. I'm going to put that at a C tier, and I'm going to put the jellied at a B tier. understanding that it's a little bit controversial. I just think that for the convenience, you might as well just get the canned stuff. To me, I like the cranberry sauce that you make in the pot. And what I usually do is, so here's a recipe for cranberry sauce in case you want to do it. And I follow basically what's on the Ocean Spray bag. You take 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar, and the bag of cranberries, and just put it in a pot and cook it until you can mash them up. And once you mash them up, they're going to release pectin, which will thicken it as it cools down. And then you'll have your cranberry sauce. And then you can flavor that with, I like a pinch of salt, and then like either cinnamon. You can boil a cinnamon stick in there with it as well. You can get as fancy as you want with it, but that's kind of how you make cranberry sauce, very simply. Right now, that's going at a C tier for me, though. So, if you have something to say, I'd love to hear it in the live chat or in the comments, after the stream ends. Now, let's get into a little bit of these other ones, because there's some weird ones here. Fried oyster mushrooms. That's not something I really ever heard about on a Thanksgiving table, so we'll put that at a D tier. I'm going to leave the bottom tiers for things that are really bad or things that are kind of unorthodox. It sounds delicious. Oyster mushrooms are a little bit less woody than your typical button mushrooms, but I wouldn't go through the hassle of breading and frying mushrooms for the purpose of the Thanksgiving dinner. If anything, I would do like maybe roast mushrooms or stuffed mushrooms, or I like to make my green bean casserole pretty mushroom heavy. And with that said, I need to put green bean casserole at S tier. And this is another controversial take, because most people think green bean casserole is take canned or frozen green beans, you put in the cream of mushroom and cream of chicken soups and all this stuff. I'm a proponent of making your own from scratch, and I have a few videos on the channel here where I've done that, including some YouTube shorts that you can search up if you're so inclined. But to me, a fresh green bean casserole where you start with sauteing the mushrooms, then you make a roux, you put some, thyme in there, chicken stock, and, make that nice and thick, salt and pepper and all that stuff. To me, that is the most amazing thing on the Thanksgiving dish. And if there was like a tier above S, where like everything I like to put on the plate would be basically an S tier, green bean casserole, to me, like I look forward to that one day a year. So that's that. While we're talking about the vegetables, because there has to be some vegetables. Thanksgiving is a harvest holiday. It basically is to the bounty of the summer harvest kind of coming to an end. So let's talk about some vegetables. Right now we have spinach and creamed spinach. I'm not a proponent for spinach on the Thanksgiving table at all, but if I had to rank between the two, I'd put spinach at a D tier. What I assume spinach being like a sauteed spinach. And then creamed spinach, I would give it a little bit of an edge at a C. Not something that'll ever make my Thanksgiving table, but not horrible. But creamed spinach is the better thing. We have in the live chat here, Greg Eckert. Doctored up Brussels sprouts are amazingly tasty, but I'm crazy to say that in the 80s, 90s, they weren't really much of a thing as a side dish. So that's an interesting point. Let's see if we could find Brussels on here. Where are we? Brussels sprouts. There we go, right at the top. Apparently, Brussels sprouts in the 50s, 60s, 70s are different than, like, genetically different than the Brussels sprouts we eat today. And people really didn't know how to cook them. So now we have a lot better recipes and preparations. And Brussels sprouts, to me, I would do Brussels sprouts before I would do spinach on a Thanksgiving table. So with that, I'm going to call it also a C tier. What I would do at Brussels sprouts, if I were doing it for the Thanksgiving table, I would cut them in half so that you have, the nice surface. I would fry those in olive oil. Then I would saute some bacon, and I would actually combine it with bacon. So it's kind of a bacon / Brussels sprouts dish. But that's the way I would do it. As if there wasn't enough fat on the Thanksgiving table between the butter and everything else that you put in there, right? And if you're enjoying this so far, make sure you hit like on it. I don't know what the mode, either the thumbs up button or double tap if you're here live. So let's talk about more vegetables. Asparagus. Asparagus is a big one. My mother-in-law, when we would do Thanksgiving at her house, she would do asparagus, and I really liked it on the table. It's not one that I would actually do, but I'm going to put it at a B tier. A nice either steamed where they're not overcooked and rubbery, or roasted asparagus. To me, I like that. So I would put that there at the B tier, along with the jellied cranberry sauce. What other vegetables we have here? Green beans. For plain green beans, I'm gonna actually be controversial, and I'm gonna put that in F tier. Thanksgiving to me is all about the green bean casserole. I explained that a little bit earlier. Plain like steamed green beans, or even sautéed with garlic or something. It's good, but I'd rather do the green bean casserole, guys. Like, just being real, More vegetables. More vegetables. I'm skipping around here because these are not in any kind of like real order. Peas. This is the channel that peas made famous, actually. Two of my top performing videos are peas recipes. I like peas a lot. I do think they belong at the Thanksgiving table, but I wouldn't consider them like a hardcore vegetable like asparagus or spinach. But I'd put them at an A tier. Peas are delicious, guys. I think if you have a good recipe for peas, saute them in some butter, a little bit of salt, pepper, be as simple as possible. To me, peas is a good thing to have on the Thanksgiving table. Might have to add that to the list for this year. All right, what do we got next? Greens. Greens is another thing that this channel is big on. Two of my top performing videos are sauteed kale and sauteed Swiss chard. That said, though, I wouldn't do greens on like a sauteed green on the Thanksgiving table. I mean, you can look at how miserable it kind of looks. I'm actually going to put that at a D tier. To me, that's the same thing as spinach, like green spinach. I wouldn't. I don't think that belongs anywhere near the Thanksgiving table. So with that, to that end, we're going to call it solid D minus, let's say. All right. There's a lot of desserts here. Let me scan across. I want to do it kind of justice here. All right, here, Greg's back with another comment. What's my take on mac and cheese on the Thanksgiving table? Because mac and cheese is actually right here. There's actually two mac and cheeses that are on here. So we're going to call the first mac and cheese, we're going to call that like Kraft mac and cheese, and then baked mac and cheese is your oven style homemade mac and cheese. I've never been to a Thanksgiving, my house or somebody else's house, where mac and cheese was actually on the table. I wouldn't say no to it. If somebody had it there, I would totally partake. That said, though, I ain't making mac and cheese on Thanksgiving. I'd more likely dedicate the time to the green bean casserole and the candied yams that I like to make. So to that end, I'm going to put Kraft mac and cheese F tier, and baked mac and cheese, I'm going to call it C tier. I don't think it quite deserves a D, but I also don't think that it's worth the extra effort, if that makes any sense. Not trying to be controversial, but at the same time, I have some pretty strong opinions about what should be on my plate and what I should be dedicating time to making on Thanksgiving. So that's kind of why we're doing this here. All right, where are we? Let's get out of the way. Swagger, can you shout me out? It's my birthday. Happy birthday, Swagger. There you go. Make sure you hit like. All right, cabbage. Cabbage is another one. The only way I like cabbage really is in kimchi, so I'm putting cabbage at a solid F. If there were cabbage on a Thanksgiving table, that would be probably one of the last things I would go for. I'd probably go for Kraft mac and cheese before I'd go for the cabbage. So no, not me, not for me. Roasted veggies. I don't know, like in the picture here, it looks like there's some Brussels sprouts and some sweet potatoes with an egg on top of it. let's call roasted veggies something like zucchini, broccoli, stuff like that. I'm going to put that in the same tier as spinach and green and collard greens or sauteed greens. I don't think it belongs anywhere near the Thanksgiving table. Um, it's an easy one. Like if you have like kohlrabi and all those other things you get at farmers markets, um, that those things kind of are um, easy. So if you have some extra vegetables and you can roast them, go ahead and do it. I would say don't dedicate more time to the green bean casserole and the peas, and save the roasted vegetables for like the weekend after Thanksgiving when people feel like they need to eat a little bit lighter because that comes. It's kind of part of the thing. Next up, we got butternut squash, and this looks like it's a soup. But let's call it even roasted butternut squash. I would say butternut squash, I wouldn't call a vegetable per se, like these roasted veggies. Um, I'd put that at a C tier. I would eat like butternut squash, like a roasted butternut squash, or even a butternut squash soup. Um, but I wouldn't go out of my way to make it. Swagger, how do I feel about roasted Native American meat? That's disgusting. Put those buttered biscuits in S tier. Grandma makes them gloriously handcrafted. So I'm Italian. My grandma doesn't know anything about biscuits. Well, she didn't before she passed away, both of them. But if biscuits are a mainstay on your table, I can see how you can put those at S tier. But I've actually never had biscuits at a Thanksgiving. So I'm also in the Northeast of the United States, so biscuits aren't really a thing up here as much as they are in the South, if that makes sense. All right. So do we do our corns next? Let's get this one out of the way. Potato salad. Solid F. Potato salad does not belong on a Thanksgiving table. I mean, you got to be pretty you got to be pretty miserable to go to the store and buy store-bought potato salad when you could be doing something like mashed potatoes. I'm not going to call mashed potatoes S tier because I think mashed potatoes are so plain and not really that interesting for the most part that I don't think they belong in S tier, especially because they're not as technically involved as green bean casserole. But I do think they belong to be up there. So I'm putting mashed potatoes at the A tier. Whoops. A tier next to peas. I love a good mashed potato. My wife covers the mashed potatoes here. And I think they're great. She makes it with a lot of butter, a little bit of cream, basically the mashed potatoes that you want on a Thanksgiving table. That said, baked potato, I would say baked potatoes could be an easy one, but it's kind of, to me, it doesn't fit Thanksgiving. So I'm putting that at a D tier. I don't think baked potatoes are bad per se. It's just if you think about all these brown things on your plate and then this big potato next to it, to me, a roasted sweet potato, which is the next thing here, is a little bit more in line with what should be on a Thanksgiving table. So I would put, do they even have, okay, there's sweet potato casserole, candied yams. So let's do our sweet potatoes next. I would actually put sweet potato roasted at the C tier, a little bit above the baked potato. And as I look at this, it actually looks pretty level-headed so far. I haven't done anything that I think is too controversial, except for turkey at the C tier. But we'll go back and reevaluate these, toward the end, just to make sure that we're doing this right. That said, the next one would be sweet potato casserole, which I don't think is a C tier. I would call that a B tier. I love a good sweet potato casserole with like the streusel and marshmallow topping on top. I think that's great. But for me, candied yams, which I'm going to park there, but candied yams go in the A tier. Not quite S tier, but to me, between green bean casserole and candied yams, that's probably what I eat the most of on the Thanksgiving table. So the thing is, for me, it can't go S tier because it's a little bit too simple. Like green bean casserole, there's a lot of technical things going on there when you make it homemade by on your own. Candied yams, it literally here's how I make candied yams. I boil the yams whole for about 25 minutes, then I slice them into rounds. Then I'll lay them out on a sheet pan, a little dusting of brown sugar, little dots of butter along the entire thing, and then I cake the top of it with marshmallows, mini marshmallows, and I roast it until it becomes nice and caramelly, and the marshmallows start to melt into the sweet potatoes. That's kind of what I like to do there. Um, so I would say that is probably the best candied yam recipe, but it's not quite S tier. I love it though. Let's see here. What do we have left? Here's what we're looking at. We have all the desserts we haven't done yet. We're about 20 minutes into the stream. Looks like we have a few people in the chat here. Greg saying, I'm the quintessential pea man, but I would say peas sitting in A tier is your most controversial selection. Yeah, I can understand that, but don't forget this is my list. So, but I'm open to hearing other people's takes on things, and we might adjust these because looking at it there, it actually doesn't fit among everything else there quite as much, because we have to talk about corn on the cob, creamed corn. That they don't have corn. Like I like to actually make like sauteed corn. Creamed corn I would put at C tier. Corn on the cob I would put at D tier. I personally don't think it fits the meal. I think most of what you have on Thanksgiving plate needs to be forkable, and corn on the cob is too fussy of doing the whole thing. So I like to actually do my corn sauteed, and here's how I do it. So I'll get a couple bags of frozen corn, a nice one. I like to mix sometimes the white and the yellow, and just saute them in a pan with a little bit of butter, and I like a heavy pinch of salt. When I say heavy, to me the corn should taste like salt and butter. So take with that what you will, but it's Thanksgiving. We're not eating light here, so that's kind of what it is there. Did we get all the corns? Corn. All right. Let's do some controversial stuff. We have stuffing and we have sausage stuffing. My mom makes an amazing sausage stuffing. In fact, it's probably 90% pork sausage and 10% whatever fillers there are there. I have no idea how she makes it. I know my dad is a butcher. He used to own a deli, and he used to make the bulk sausage meat that would go into that. And they're making it this year because they're coming up for our Thanksgiving dinner. But I'm going to call my mom's sausage stuffing, we're going to call that A tier because I love it. And then regular stuffing, this would be like your stovetop or like Pepperidge Farms. I'm going to call that B tier. I like it quite a lot. And yeah. We have somebody here. Green pea casserole is not peas. I know. I don't know what you're hung up on. Green bean casserole is up in S tier, which is what you're saying. So I don't know. I have no idea. But thanks for chatting. All right. So now what are we up to? Let's do beverages. Spice cider. Spice cider. I'm gonna put cider at a D. I like a little bit of wine on Thanksgiving, just to be an adult. So that's going A tier. A nice good wine. Greg's a buddy of mine. I've known Greg for 30, probably close to 30 years now. So he's given me a hard time. It's fine. All right. And then sparkling Welch's grape juice, F tier. Don't, unless you're a child, don't put that on the table. It's nasty, man. It's nasty. Let's see here. Maybe we'll make a little bit of room here for this stuff. How's that looking? What do you guys think? All right. Looks like we got about a dozen left to go through here. And here's another controversial take. There's a few left here. Some of them are weird ones. Booty noodles. I don't know what booty noodles is. I'm going to actually look this up. You know what booty noodles are? If you do, let me know in the chat. All right, I'm going to read you guys what the definition here is. Booty noodles, known as shirataki noodles, are a type of thin, translucent, gelatinous traditional Japanese noodle made from the konjac yam. They're low in calories and carbohydrates, making them a popular choice for those on a low-carb keto diet. Booty noodles are also gluten-free, vegan, and have a slightly chewy texture. All right, guys. I'm sensitive to people's dietary needs, and I understand people need to be on low carb diets. I'm currently on a low carb diet most days, just for health reasons and all that stuff. I personally have opened up Thanksgiving as a day where I'm not going to be doing any low carb stuff. I respect needing to, but booty noodles go at an F tier for me. Japanese noodles really don't have any place on a American Thanksgiving table. We said it. All right. Deviled eggs. All right, here's where we really get into some controversy. I've done videos where deviled eggs were appetizers on the menu, and you can hear me kind of scoff at them. To me, to make deviled eggs for a party or something, they're really fussy, and I personally don't like deviled eggs enough to say, hey, I'm going to order that at a restaurant, or I'm going to load them up on my Thanksgiving table. To me, it's kind of gross. So deviled eggs, straight F. And I realize I'm actually being pretty even. We have similar numbers of things in every tier except for the S tier. That said, like, if you have me over for Thanksgiving, don't put deviled eggs out. You're wasting your time. They're just not good. They're not as good as anything else that you can get. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Now we're up to a couple last ones. There's ham and there's spiral ham. For all intents and purposes, we're gonna consider those the same. Actually, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't, because both of them are going to be a little bit different. I would say though, a good ham on a Thanksgiving table could be good. If you have turkey, I would say it's kind of overkill. I don't think you need both. Some families like to do both, and I think that's amazing. To me, they cook at two different temperatures. So I personally, I'm not going to have a ham at the table, but I would say I would give an edge to spiral ham, put that at a C level, kind of at the same thing as turkey. And then like a regular like ham leg roast, I would put at a D tier. I personally don't think that it's, I don't want to be slicing a ham when you already have to slice a turkey. But I don't think they're bad. There's nothing bad about it. It's what it is. All right. We're going to save dessert for last, of course, because that's what we do. But there's a couple gravies here. Brown gravy and white gravy. White gravy, I'm going to assume, is like a sausage gravy that would go with the biscuits. That would be in the B tier here. But I don't think that belongs on a Thanksgiving table. That is a breakfast item. So we're going to put that straight F. White gravy does not belong on a Thanksgiving table, guys. That's a fact. Let's call it that. You know what I mean? I did put a poll in the chat earlier, and it looks like most people have picked that the best Thanksgiving centerpiece is actually a ham. So with that said, right next to the roast turkey, I think is the right place for it. So there you go. Brown gravy. So where do you guys fall on this one? I personally like to have gravy on a couple of things on the table, not everything. If I have like a bread stuffing, a little bit of brown gravy goes on that, like a stovetop stuffing, which we have up here in the B tier. Mashed potatoes obviously need a little bit of brown gravy, and turkey to me, without brown gravy and jellied cranberry sauce, is inedible on Thanksgiving table. So I'm actually going to put brown gravy at the B tier. Let's see here. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's to me, it's as ubiquitous as dinner rolls. And there's some here that we definitely have to reevaluate. So we're going to place all the desserts, and then I'll come back through and we're going to make some adjustments, because going through these one by one, I'm seeing some areas where we can improve this list. All right. Where are we here? We're up to dessert, red velvet cake. You ready, guys? Now, I'm a big guy. A lot of you guys like to point out what I look like. I ain't going to say no to cake, but for me, Thanksgiving is a pie holiday. So red velvet cake goes F tier as far as in the context of Thanksgiving. So, yeah, that's that. A lot of this stuff is F tier. Then we have banana pudding. And that's an interesting one. And I need to talk this out a little bit because a good banana pudding, and what we're going to call banana pudding is actually a vanilla pudding that's thinned out with like whipped cream and then layered with like vanilla wafers and banana. It's typically not really made with banana pudding mix, which is good because banana pudding mix is kind of gross. I got to do it, guys. Banana pudding goes at a B tier because I think I've never had it at my Thanksgiving table, but to me that sounds amazing. It's almost like a deconstructed pie if you think about it. Like if you do like the vanilla wafers as the crust and then the pudding inside and the whipped cream on top, it's essentially the same thing. So we're going to call it B tier. And then we get to peach cobbler, which is another interesting one. I've never done peach cobbler for Thanksgiving. To me, it'd be a weird thing to see there. Mainly because it kind of has to be served warm and with ice cream. And for that reason, we're going to call it D tier. I don't think it's particularly bad, but it also it doesn't to me fit Thanksgiving too much. Not to be rude about it, but it's like, I don't want no peach cobbler on Thanksgiving. A peach pie would be a different story, but peach cobbler, I wouldn't say no to it, but also I wouldn't go out of my way to make it. If that makes sense. And now we're down to the big four pies. What do you guys think? Because we gotta place all of these. Pumpkin and sweet potato are probably going to be the two most similar. Personally, I guess this is a hard one because a well-executed sweet potato pie could be pretty amazing. Pumpkin pie is typically good, but it's always made with canned ingredients. Let's call pumpkin pie C tier, and let's call sweet potato pie B tier. I think those are pretty fair. Now what are we up to? We got pecan and apple pie. Here we go, guys. Pecan pie to me, S tier. I love a good pecan pie, and that's like the corn syrup thing. I don't want any kind of like chef made pecan pie. I want the one made with that corn syrup that looks like that goopy mess inside. That's to me God tier, S tier. Apple pie I would put at A tier. I would like to see an apple pie on the table, and this year our local culinary school is doing a pie pickup. So we're doing our dinner rolls, our apple pie and our pecan pie from the local culinary school, which I think is going to be awesome. And I can't wait to show you guys. I don't typically share what's on the Thanksgiving table because it's all brown food and we all eat the same stuff. So it's not really one of those things I think really needs to be shared in the moment. I also like to enjoy Thanksgiving a little bit. And not have to deal with social media updates. But that's kind of, neither here nor there. But a good apple pie on the table for Thanksgiving is incredible. So it's got to go there. So it looks like we've placed everything. And I want to go through and reevaluate this because there's some things that need to be moved around. Definitely need to be moved around. All right. Greg here says, turkey is absolutely the traditional centerpiece of the Thanksgiving table, but it's incredibly overrated in my opinion. And I agree with you on that 100%. And that's why it's at the C tier. And I think that's actually a fair place for it to be. But I have smoked turkey here at the B tier. I'm going to move smoked turkey back down with that. Because I don't think there's anything special about smoked turkey. I mean, I think it'd be a little bit better than a roasted turkey, but not much better where it actually bump it into the next tier. That's the first adjustment we need to make. As far as everything else on the table, if you take, basically what I'm saying is any of these things B or above are better than turkey. And I think that's actually a fair statement as far as being on the Thanksgiving table. But I think roast turkey kind of has to be there. Like that's just personally like when I think about Thanksgiving, I have to have that slab of white meat on my plate. And you know we can break this down: white meat, dark meat. But I think we get into the weeds there. That's a little bit more of a personal preference as far as you know what you're doing on your plate, and you do you when it comes to that. But I just to generalize, I think having turkey there and having fried turkey at the absolute lowest is fair. Um, I don't understand the fuss of fried turkey. We did it 20 years ago, and it wasn't anything special. It was way more work than it needed to be. It felt way less safe than roasting a turkey. I can't get behind doing a fried turkey. That's just me. What other adjustments do we need to make here? All right. I want to put sauteed corn on this list. And that I have the ability to import pictures, so we're going to do that. I just need a picture to actually put here. Because I think sauteed corn should go in the A tier. The problem is like they don't want you taking images from places, but there we go. All right, sauteed corn we got to put on the list here. We're gonna put that at A tier because I want it next to my peas. I like corn and peas. I don't like them mixed, but I do like to have them there. Let's see, anything else missing from this? Now let's go tier by tier. To me, green bean casserole and pecan pie are absolutely S tier. They're the top of the Thanksgiving hierarchy. And when I say green bean casserole, again, I know there are people coming in and out of this stream. So and if they're watching, if they caught it in the middle, I don't think the canned green bean casserole, I think that's gross. I wouldn't do that. But if you make a nice fresh one, and I have a video where I do that in a short. It's the best thing on the table, even better than pecan pie, but not by much. So pecan pie goes there. It looks like Greg has an opinion now on the peas. All right, Greg, I concede. We'll put peas at the B tier. I wanted to have some kind of green vegetable at the A tier, but I guess let's be fair. Peas is no better than asparagus, and it's definitely not better or the same as corn. So we're going to call it B tier. We're making adjustments. I can admit when I'm wrong, guys, All right. So let's evaluate this side by side. So we got cornbread, which I think does need to be A tier, crescent rolls, and then we have our dinner rolls and biscuits in B tier with our King's Hawaiian, which are also dinner rolls. They're just sweet dinner rolls. I basically wouldn't say no to anything B and above. I think that's a good gauge for what we have here. And I'm actually going to move creamed corn to the B tier because I like creamed corn. It's not much different than the sauteed corn I like to make. It's just a little creamier. I don't like canned cream corn, but I like making it. It's really not hard to make cream corn. Here you go. Here's a recipe. Take your can of corn, like regular corn, drain it, or get a bag of frozen corn and just cook it down in a little bit of half and half until it gets a little thick. When I say a little bit, if you were doing a pound bag of peas, I don't know, are they 12 ounces, 16 ounces? Don't do more than a quarter or a half cup of liquid total. And I wouldn't use all half and half. You can use chicken stock or something like that. Yeah. Let's see here. Anything that's at sea level or above that I think needs to be on the Thanksgiving table. That's kind of a C or below. Let's see here. Turkey definitely. Turkey is like the borderline. If there was a C tier, like if we had an extra tier here, like if there was an E tier, which why did they skip E in schools? You ever wonder that? If there was an E tier, all these things other than the turkeys would go in that tier. With that said, we have candied yam, sweet potato casserole, and then roasted sweet potatoes here. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Now let's go at the bottom and let's see if there's anything here that I have in the wrong place. Fried turkey is garbage. I don't even want to talk about fried turkey. So it's so stupid. Green beans. This is like steamed or roasted green beans. Why do that when you can have an amazing green bean casserole with similar amount of work? Mac and cheese. This would be like your Kraft mac and cheese. Again, unless you're a kid, don't put mac and cheese on the table. Cabbage. I don't know who's eating cabbage on Thanksgiving. If it's a cultural thing, if you are from like Russia or anything like that, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just not going to eat cabbage on Thanksgiving. Potato salad, to me, if I see potato salad, I know somebody's trying to take the cheap way out. Personally, it doesn't get any cheaper than mashed potatoes. So, yeah. Madmen in my visions. I like what you say here. An entire pig lay shown for Thanksgiving on a beach. I mean, if I were doing Puerto Rico Thanksgiving, it would definitely be some kind of lechon, pernil, something like that, definitely. But in the States, like to even get a suckling pig right now, I couldn't imagine the effort that you have to go through, and it's just not even worth it. Just like for that, you do need a turkey or a ham. But it looks like we got it looks like this tier is actually pretty good. I'm actually, I think, going to save it, and I'll share it to social media, and you can watch the people that weren't here watching this live. You can watch them react in horror to a lot of these things. But I do want to say, I don't think any of these are controversial takes. Booty noodles, we talked about those. I don't think those belong on a Thanksgiving table. White gravy, definitely not. Deviled eggs don't belong on any table, personally. No hate, just they suck. I guess that is hate, isn't it? Welch's sparkling wine, yeah, that's stupid. So yeah, that's that stuff. But I noticed that a lot of people just popped in the chat. Let me know what you're having on your Thanksgiving table. Is there anything here that isn't here that is something that you put on your table? I think we've covered everything that I put on my table. Greg saying overall pretty solid. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for joining today. Appreciate it. Pointless nostalgia, important content. Yep, figuring out what goes on a Thanksgiving table is definitely important, especially right before Thanksgiving. If I did this in March, it would be pointless nostalgia. Right? I'm actually going to reevaluate this. I'm putting spinach in the F tier next to cabbage and collard greens as well. No, you know what? Collard greens are good. Put them back here. Because now I'm getting trigger happy. Most important meal of the year. I completely agree. Like personally, I've been the last 14 weeks, I've been kind of restrictive on my personal diet. And I've basically been building to the holidays, and I'm looking forward to, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, kind of getting back on my plan a little bit. Trying to drop a little bit of weight. But I'm definitely not gonna sacrifice flavor or anything for the holidays. I'm gonna do the meal, and then kind of that'll be the end of it. Looks like pointless nostalgia again with the spam in the comments here. We have a dish of half mashed potatoes, half mashed turnips. That sounds good. Actually, that's a good point. I think if you're gonna mash things into mashed potatoes, I think turnips are actually one of the best things to do, because they have kind of that they have a little bit of a bite to them, so they make mashed potatoes a little bit more interesting. Mashed potatoes could be pretty one note. So I like the idea of that. Madman in my visions. We traditionally did shrimp salad with a Thousand Island dressing. Sounds good. Dinner rolls with buttered and jellied cranberries are a must with sweet corn. Yeah, I mean, all these things. Like I said, I don't want you to think that by me having these opinions of where these things rank, that I'm judging you or anything. Everybody has what they traditionally like to put on their Thanksgiving table. So with that said, there's no right or wrong, except deviled eggs. But it does look like Greg's saying deviled eggs get a bump in his family. The 250 chickens on the farm have some pull. I just, so my parents, the farm that your wife has there, my parents still get the eggs there. So, I mean, I understand what you mean, but I don't know. Deviled eggs to me it's not a fun thing to eat. That's just what it is. But I think we got it there. And just because this content is not heavy enough, I actually have a really amazing soul food video coming out this weekend that I really hope that you subscribe and you come back for to check it out after we enjoy our fattening, kind of brown, different shades of brown, soft food Thanksgiving dinner. I love it, but it's pretty cliche how that goes. It's kind of funny when you think about it. With that, I will say happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thanks so much for joining today. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, I hope you. What is going on here? Here we go. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that something. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family, and that you can maybe laugh about some of the things we said here. And just like pointless nostalgia, subscribe if it comes up on the homepage. Click the videos. I always appreciate your support and your comments here in the chat, interacting with those. We have Foodie News Live tomorrow night, Friday, 8 p.m. I think I might do 7:30 tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. And with that, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks a lot for watching.